Hello, and welcome to the Pest Control Marketing Podcast with your host, me, Hal Coleman, uncensored and unplugged. Pay attention, take lots of notes, because you're going to find out exactly how to get more new customers, more referrals, and grow your business.
Hal Coleman has been active in the pest control industry for over 40 years, including owning and operating his own successful pest control business for 18 years. He now devotes his time to helping other PCOs and other WCOs double, triple, and even quadruple their businesses faster than they ever imagined. Be sure to check out his website, pestcontrolmarketer.com. For more information about Hal's coaching program, you can reach him at 770-993-0004 or email him hal@halcoleman.com. Mike Stewart is known as the Internet Audio and Video Guy. Since the birth of the Internet, Mike has been showing small business owners how to get more new customers, increase their sales, and grow their businesses online using audio and video, now with iPhones and Android phones. For more information about Mike's coaching program and his online training courses, visit MikeStewartCoaching.com or email him mike@internetaudioguide.com.
Well, hello, this is Hal Coleman, and welcome to yet another episode of the Pest Control Marketing Podcast. I'm here joined by my friend and associate, Mike Stewart. We're Mr. Offline, that's me, and he's Mr. Online, that's you, Mike.
I'll take that title because I tell you, I love both sides of the fence. I love what you can do offline, but when you bridge the gap between offline and online, you get to have a major success that most people don't experience by understanding both sides of the world.
It's like having a restaurant serving hamburgers and hot dogs, you know. If you just serve hamburgers, you're not going to do as well because a lot of people come in there and they want to buy a hot dog. Oh, yeah. So you got to do both. You know, and speaking of buying and selling, which is what we talk about 99% of the time, you know, there's a lot of conversations going on right now and a lot of books being written and a lot of spins on the generation gaps. You know, how do baby boomers communicate with Gen Yers, you know, millennials, and millennials, how do they even begin to understand baby boomers? And you know, we and then we got the Gen Xers in the middle who hate us on both sides. You know?
I hope not.
No, they don't. But you know, I had a client who had bought a pest control company. She had actually bought it from her father, and she was 21 years old, and she and her boyfriend were running this pest control business that her father had for years, and it wasn't a big business, and the two of them were handling it okay. So she really wanted to get into the real estate market. You know, so how can I get more real estate agents? I said, oh, that's one of my specialties. I can certainly help you get into the real estate market. Here's what you do. And I wrote her this nice introductory letter for her to give to real estate agents, and some key points in there. And I sent it to her, and then we met on Skype, and I showed her how to present that letter to somebody, to hold it and point to the main points in the letter, you know, to really engage people with this letter and the stuff they could do for them. And I said, just start going to real estate companies and just walking in, introducing yourself to people, giving them this letter, telling them about it. And I said, the more you do that, the more business you're going to get. And some of them are going to love you. And she was just a real cute girl with a great personality. You couldn't help but just be, you know, to like her. And there was just the silence. And she said, well, can I just send it to them in an email? And I said, well, yeah, you can, but you're not going to get any response from it. You might get a little bit from it from email. I said, you could text it to people. You could email it to people, which you should do. But I said, nothing beats having a conversation with somebody, especially if they're 50 years old or older. You know, a lot of millennials are quick to make purchases just from texting and clicking and pushing a button. they're okay with not having a conversation with people. Some of them prefer not to because they've grown up in that world of technology and using their thumbs to communicate. But baby boomers especially are not like that. They're very leery. They're very doubtful of what's going to happen if they just press a button and swipe credit card and they don't know who they're dealing with. So, having conversations with people is the number one most effective way to build a relationship, a trusting relationship with them, a reciprocal relationship, and you just got to be able to do that. There are all kinds of ways to communicate with people, but don't leave out the phone conversation, or better yet, the face-to-face conversation. But that's something that really a lot of people here again, especially younger, the millennials, because they're not as used to it. You know, when you and I, Mike, were growing up, there was no other way to communicate with people other than call them on the telephone or walk over to their house, or send them a letter in the mail. But nowadays, all kind of ways.
Well, the thing that is obvious to me is that you've got to know who is your customer that has money to spend with you. And baby boomers are going to be here, hopefully for at least 20, maybe 30 more years, and they have money.
They have a lot of money because they've been saving it their whole lives.
Right, and they, and nobody likes bugs. Nobody likes bugs. So the market is people who don't like bugs and who have money. Now, the divisions are, and this has been probably, in fact, I don't know if you ever heard this, but there was a quote saying the younger generation, they're just out of control, and I don't know how to deal with them. That's a paraphrase. But do you know who said that?
Yeah, but it was about 1,500 years ago, wasn't it?
It was Socrates, yes.
Socrates,
so generational communication issues have been going on. I mean, we were the baby boomer hippie generation, and we had Woodstock, and we had all these things that our parents, the greatest generation, who sadly, not many of them left. My parents, your parents, they just didn't understand. We didn't communicate, but at least there was. Because of technology, the only way you could communicate was a face-to-face conversation through printed word, letters, signs, cards, billboards. And we had, our generation was the first generation to be radio and television heavy. That was the way you communicated and advertised. Well, you fast forward 35, 40 years later, and now that all us baby boomers, we have all the technologies that existed prior that we're used to. Radio, television, billboards, print advertising, and face-to-face communication. Face-to-face communication is is like you've been talking about recently. I watched that video on going door to door, and it works. Door-to-door sales is having a conversation with somebody. Boy, it's scary. Knock on the door and try to get a relationship in 30 seconds with somebody that you've interrupted their day. Man, that is bravery, if you ask me. But it works.
That's like reaching your arm down into the ocean with a dead fish trying to attract a shark.
Yeah, well, I'm not doing that. But the thing is every generation has things that they embrace in their communication. We communicated with protest songs, and we communicated. Back in the day, there was no cell phones. We communicated by going to a payphone or getting on the phone and talking to our girlfriend on a landline till 3:00 in the morning. We all used to get together in groups and sit around and talk and have conversations and camp. And there's the means of communication are generational, but this kind of goes to both sides. I mean, for a baby boomer to ignore the fact that the younger generation likes texting, they like email, they watch YouTube videos, they don't listen to the radio, they listen to Spotify and Pandora and Amazon Prime Music. When we wanted to meet somebody, we'd go to a church social. They use the Tinder app and Match.com. I mean, you just can't ignore how people communicate in the generations. So it's just as guilty as of a baby boomer pest control or owner to ignore technology and not at least try to participate in that communication skill, as much as it is for a younger business owner or a millennial baby owner just to refuse to use print, to use the telephone, even go to networking meetings. Networking meetings are really big to this day, and they're growing because that's where people have conversations about their businesses, and they learn about building a referral network. So the things that I think everybody, whether young or old, be aware of the technologies and the simple tried and true methods. Do it all. Be afraid of nothing. Embrace it all. And communicate with the customer in the way they want to. I mean, baby boomers are getting used to texting, but I don't know how many parents say, my kids won't call me. They just send me texts. Well, you know what? Kids, call your parents every once in a while and say, I love you in your voice. Don't send a heart and an emoji. It's like I'm technically savvy enough to know how to do it all because I'm one of those baby boomers that loves it all. But I know it's crazy to not learn how to communicate and go the extra mile, like we talked in a previous podcast about, with whatever the end person, the person who could be your customer. And if they have money, they might be older, they might be younger, but communicate with them in a way that embraces them and builds a relationship with them. And now here's a word from our sponsor.
Google Pest Control Marketing. Grow your business like never before. Call 770-993-0004.
Did you hear that?
That is a jingle. But more than that, it is an audio logo and what I call a marketing earworm. But that's a bug, that's a worm you want in your local market on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, and podcasts like you're listening to right now. Yes, you should do a podcast as a PCO, but we'll talk about that another time. You want your market singing Google your name, what you do, and your phone number. Simple, but it works. If you want to cash in on this marketing bonanza, go to pestcontrolmarketingjingles.com to learn more. Or just call me, Mike Stewart, at 770-826-3662, or call Hal Coleman at 770-993-0004. And we would love to show you how to do what we call search and call advertising with earworms. And oh yeah, it works on that old-timey technology of radio and television. Why don't you call us today and learn more?
Google Pest Control Marketing. Grow your business like never before. Call 770-993-0004.
So I guess the message here is everybody accept the ways that we communicate today, because there's more ways to communicate today than there's ever been in the history of the planet. And saying, I've had businesses say, I don't respond to emails. I had a car dealership one time that would get an email of a prospect. This was 20 years ago, Hal, and they would crumble the secretary would print out the email, hand it to the sales guy, and he'd crumble up and throw it in the trash. And I said, why did you do that? He said, I don't do email. I don't do email? That was a human being interested in doing business with you. You communicate with people in the way they're comfortable communicate with you if they're a prospect that has a budget to spend with you. Anyway, that's my 2 cents from the online baby boomer, millennial, doesn't like the old way of doing things, bridging the gap of the two issues.
Yeah, and it's all about your customer. You need to, whatever means of communication your customer prefers, whether it's a phone conversation, a drop by and knock on the door, text message, email, whatever your customer feels most comfortable is, that's what you need to use. This is not about you. This is about your customers. So find out whatever they prefer and do it. If it's a baby boomer, call them on the phone. If it's a millennial, send them a text or an email. But there are all kind of ways, and you just need to have the proper match between the prospect, the customer, and the service provider. So anyway, Mike, I think we beat this one around. This has been fun once again.
Yeah.
And speaking of communication, if you'd like to have more communication with me, I'll be happy to spend an hour with you, get to know you, get to know more about your business, and I assure you we will find some low-hanging fruit that you can go right out and pick to help you grow your business in that hour, and it won't cost you one penny. I would love to do it, and if you'll give me a call at 770-558-5. Oh, I'm sorry, that's an old number. 770-993-0004. I usually answer my own phone, and if I don't, if you leave a voicemail, I'll get right back with you. And Mike, tell them how to get in touch with you.
Well, I'm going to close with this, and I'll tell people how to get in touch with me. You know, from the baby boomers' perspective, an iPhone or an Android is a telephone with a bunch of stuff they don't really have or fuzzy on how to run. And to the younger generation, the same device is a computer that they live their lives on that happens to have a phone in it. But the truth is, it's just one device. And it's all your mind's perspective of how you use it. And so for me, I only have a cell phone. And my cell phone number is 770-826-3662. And because it's my cell phone, if you want to, you can text me at 770-826-3662. Or you can email me, sales@websitesyoucontrol.com. And I'll take a communication with anybody interested in learning how to use the internet and use the psychologies and strategies that Hal Coleman has created over the years that help your business go to the next level. So give us a call, give us a text, send us an email. Hal is hal@halcoleman.com. How easy is that to remember for an email? And he does check his email, I know for a fact. So until next time, Hal, thanks a lot, buddy. It's always fun.
Mike, thank you, and thank you, folks, for listening to this episode of the Pest Control Marketing Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Pest Control Marketing Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast in iTunes and on your phones and in Stitcher on your Android. But more importantly, go to our website, pestcontrolmarketingpodcast.com. Subscribe to our email list to always be notified of new episodes. You're never going to want to miss what we got coming up next, and you never know what we're going to be able to do to help you with your pest control marketing.